The film begins in a vast and desolate desert in France where we see a helicopter. Inside the helicopter, Elvira and her rich boyfriend, Kevin, are heading towards their farmhouse. As soon as they reach the farmhouse, Elvira spends equal time with Kevin and the night passes in the same way. Similarly, in the morning, when Elvira freshens up and comes out to eat, she is surprised to see two men with big guns standing behind her. They kept staring at Elvira. Elvira stood at a station in fear. Just then, Kevin comes there and tells Elvira, "Don't be afraid. I hunt in this desert with both of them, and they are my very good friends. We are going to stay here for 5 days, and these two, Mike and Bird, are also going to stay with us, so you don't need to be afraid of them." Hearing Kevin's words, Elvira gets a little relieved, and then Elvira leaves from there towards the bedroom. But we see Mike, who was constantly staring at Elvira with dirty eyes. Kevin also comes to know this. Kevin says, "Look, Elvira is my girlfriend, so neither you will bother Elvira nor tell my wife about her." Similarly, Mike and Bird start joking with Kevin, and then the day fades. We see the nighttime where the four of them were now sitting by the swimming pool and partying. The four of them sit down at one place after drinking a lot of alcohol. Then we see a black drug, which Kevin immediately picked up and started showing to Elvira. Kevin says, "Look at this drug. It is so powerful that if even a small dose of it is taken, the human body becomes deaf. The human does not understand what he is doing. He starts having visions of dead people around him and all that the human is afraid of. And then, once after taking this drug, a man cut off his leg because he saw worms inside his leg. But in reality, it was not like that. And then he does not feel any pain while cutting off his leg, so stay away from this drug." Then Kevin said, "Elvira, keep this drug inside the room." But friends, instead of taking it inside and keeping it inside the room, Elvira hides this drug in her locket, and then that night passes. Now, the next morning, we see Elvira, who has just woken up. When she came out, she saw that Kevin was not visible here. Mike says, "Kevin has gone to renew all our passports today, so he won't be back before 12 hours. So tell me, we are both alone here, because Bird is also sleeping in the swimming pool, drunk from last night." Friends, Mike was staring at Elvira continuously. Elvira also notices this, which is why Elvira doesn't feel right here anymore. Elvira starts calling Kevin, but there is no signal. Mike says, "I know you must be feeling a little strange, but believe me, Kevin is also cheating on you. He hasn't told his wife yet that he brought you to the farmhouse with him, so take my advice and stay away from Kevin." Elvira gets very worried on hearing this, so Elvira immediately gets up from there and goes inside her room. Just as she was changing her clothes, Mike sneaks up on her, seeing which Elvira got very scared. Mike said, "I'm sorry if I scared you." Elvira says, No, it's okay. Please get me to talk to Kevin somehow." To which Mike says, "Hey, leave Kevin alone. He's married." To which Elvira says, "What do you think of me? I'm not even married yet." To which Elvira says, "Look, Mike, I don't want to show you my heart, so please leave." To which Mike gets angry and immediately grabs Elvira and starts touching her here and there, due to which Elvira starts screaming, and hearing her screams, finally Bird comes into their room. But instead of helping Elvira, he locks the door of this room and quietly comes out into the corridor and starts watching TV. He pretends as if he has not seen anything here, and poor Elvira keeps screaming and shouting, but there is no one there who can help this poor girl. And that is how the scene cuts. Now we see Kevin, who had finally come inside his penthouse with his passports. As soon as he entered the farmhouse, he saw Mike and Bird sitting on the sofa with their faces hanging down. Kevin said, "Mike, what happened? I don't think you guys are okay." Mike gets up from the sofa and says to Kevin, "Look, forgive me. I didn't do all this with Elvira on purpose. It was all a misunderstanding." Then Kevin immediately comes to Elvira without saying anything to Mike. He saw that poor Elvira was crying loudly. Elvira said, "I don't want to hear anything. You please call the helicopter and I will leave here tomorrow." Hearing this, Kevin immediately gets very angry at Mike and Bird outside, and then the scene cuts. The next morning, we see Kevin, who now comes to Elvira and starts apologizing to her for what happened yesterday. Elvira said, "I know, Kevin, you love me. That's why I want to leave here now." But then Kevin says, "Look, I have transferred $1 million to your account. We come here every year to hunt for 5 days, so it's only been 2 days. Let us hunt for 3 days and spend the 3 days here somehow. After the 3 days are over, I will take you safely to New York myself." To which Elvira says, "Mike told me everything. You also have a wife." Hearing this, Kevin is completely stunned. Elvira said, "Do you call Chopper, or should I call your wife and tell her that you are celebrating with me here?" On which Kevin gets very angry. Kevin immediately slapped Elvira hard on the face, which made Elvira run away in fear. Kevin was also chasing her. Seeing this, Mike and Bird also start running after them both. Elvira runs to the edge of a high ravine. Then, in the blink of an eye, the three of them reach there behind her. Elvira said, "Call Chopper quickly," on which Kevin, now despite not wanting to, takes Mike's phone and calls Chopper. But friends, now since Elvira had come to know about Kevin's wife, that's why she could have blackmailed Kevin at any time. That's why Kevin takes the biggest step here now. He immediately pushed Elvira down, which made Elvira fall down the ditch with a force, and a very sharp piece of wood penetrated the side of her stomach. Seeing this, Mike and Bird, who were there, were quite shocked. They told Kevin that you shouldn't have done all this. But Kevin got angry at them and said that all this happened because of both of you, so don't let me push both of you down from here too. Today, we will go to our house, and when we go hunting in the morning, the first thing we will do is dispose of her body. So now, I won't hear anything about Elvira before morning. Below here, we see Elvira's body, now lifeless, lying on top of the tree, and then the scene cuts. As night falls, we see Kevin burning every little thing of Elvira's in a fire because he didn't want people to suspect him, and that's how the day passes. The next morning, we see the three of them packing all their gear and going out hunting together. But friends, here we see a very surprising scene. We see that suddenly Elvira's eyes open, and Elvira starts screaming and moaning in a lot of pain. Elvira couldn't understand what had happened to her and how she was still alive after falling from such a height. Well, now Elvira looked here and there and found that she was hanging quite badly on a tree. So she immediately took her lighter and burned the wood so that it could fall down when the wood became weak. Friends, it is the same. When the wood catches fire, the wood becomes weak and breaks, and Elvira falls down to the ground. As soon as she came to the ground, she heard the sound of some bikes and a car in the distance. She immediately understood that Kevin and his friends had come here and were going to kill her. So she screamed a lot and went under a big stone near the ditch in pain. When Kevin and his friends looked down, they realized that Elvira was still alive. Seeing this, Kevin told them both that we have to go down and find her and kill her. Mike says, "Oh man, you haven't found peace at all after dropping her from so high. Even if she survived, she wouldn't be able to survive in this entire desert. First of all, she's injured, and no one is going to give her food or water from above." Friends, Elvira, who was standing below, was also listening to all this. But Kevin tells them both very angrily, "Here it will be as I want, so shut up and do as I say quietly." Friends, now, since they were on the vehicles, they needed to go around quite a distance to get to the bottom of the ditch. As soon as they reach the bottom of the ditch, we see that it becomes night due to their long journey, and they cannot find Elvira anywhere further down. They saw that Elvira's blood had fallen here and there, so they started searching for her by following the blood. After walking quite a distance, they saw that there was a river in front of them. so maybe she had crossed the river, or she had cleaned her blood from here and gone to the right and left. So Mike said, "Why don't I stop here and you two go right and left and find her and bring her here?" To which the three of them agree, and Mike sits inside his car right there. He was having a lot of trouble because if he hadn't forced himself on Elvira that day, this wouldn't have happened today. But friends, there was no point in regretting it now. Here on the other side, we see Elvira, who had come quite a distance through the river. But soon she realized that someone was chasing her on a motorbike. And friends, it was none other than Bird, which is why Elvira hides from Bird by holding her breath underwater. As soon as Bird passed by her, Elvira also immediately came out of the water. She saw that Bird was now standing in one place and whining. Bird's gun was also lying next to him, seeing which an idea comes to Elvira's mind. Elvira slowly overcomes her pain and reaches for her gun, but only then does Bird notice her. Bird said, "Stop, I didn't harm you, I came to save you." But Elvira pulls the trigger of the gun without even hearing a word from him. But there were no bullets in the gun at all. So Bird took advantage of the opportunity and attacked Elvira, and Elvira was seriously injured. He immediately grabbed Elvira and started drowning her in the water. Elvira was in a lot of pain, but then Elvira saw that Bird had a very sharp knife, and Elvira immediately took advantage of the opportunity and took out that knife and stabbed Bird in both eyes very quickly and very mercilessly, which caused Bird to feel a lot of pain, and he started crying like crazy here and there. Elvira was also quite scared and was watching all this in pain, and only then, in a few moments, Elvira saw that Bird was finally dead. Elvira immediately went to him and took the knife from his eye and kept it with her. And now, after killing Bird, she plans to take revenge by killing Mike and Kevin. With that scene is also cut. In the next scene, we see Elvira, who comes to the desert mountains with Bird's bike. After the bike's petrol runs out, she immediately comes to a mountain cave. There, she lights a fire and starts taking out all the things from Bird's bag. She sees that Bird has nothing for medicine or bandages. Therefore, Elvira becomes very disappointed. But she has to remove that piece of wood from her stomach in time, otherwise she will lose her life due to infection. But without anesthesia or numbing medicine, she could not take out that piece of wood, which is why she lies back exhausted and in pain. But then her eyes fall on the same locket in which Elvira had hidden the drug that Kevin had given her. Elvira immediately opened the drug and put it between her teeth and started chewing it. At first, Elvira felt very bad that Elvira had spit out the drug, but she had to swallow the drug to save her life. So she picked up the spit-out drug from the ground again, put it in her mouth, and swallowed it with her eyes closed. In the next scene, Elvira heats a knife and starts cutting her stomach with it. But she saw that Kevin was absolutely right. She didn't feel any pain. Taking advantage of what he had, he pulled out a large piece of wood from his stomach and then applied the hot knife to his wound and cut it, which stopped Elvira's bleeding. Then Elvira slept there. In the next scene, we saw Mike, who was sleeping very comfortably inside his car. Then Kevin hit a wolf on his windshield, which scared Mike and broke his sleep. Kevin said, "Look, Bird hasn't come yet, so we have to find him soon." Here we see Mike washing his hands and face by the riverbank, but then he saw that the body of Bird had come out of the river, which was in a very bad condition. Seeing this, Mike gets very scared and runs to his car in a panic. He was very scared because someone had killed his friend. Kevin immediately came to Mike and said that it was none other than Elvira who killed Bird. So we will both go separately and kill Elvira only. Then Kevin and Mike throw Bird's body back into the river, and they both go separately and go after Elvira. Here we see Elvira, whose wound has now dried up to a certain extent because she took the time to take out that piece of wood. As soon as she got up and started to walk out of there, we see that Kevin has come from somewhere behind her. Without thinking for a moment, Kevin shot Elvira in the head and killed her. Then the scene cut and we see Elvira, who had just woken up from her sleep. Friends, all this was happening because of her drugs. The drug Elvira took last night makes her start seeing a lot of scary things around her. But she almost overcame her fear, picked up her gun, and came out of the mountains. After walking for a while, she sees Mike's car, which has now followed her into the mountains. As she passes a road, we see Elvira hiding behind a rock, waiting to kill her. Here, we see Mike running out of gas, and he picks up a can of petrol from his trunk and starts refilling his fuel tank. Then we see Elvira, who has a gun pointed at Mike's head. She's about to kill Mike, but Mike bends down a little, which makes Elvira miss her target, and the target goes straight to Mike's shoulder, which makes Mike start screaming loudly in pain. But there was no one there who could hear Mike's screams, just like he had thought that no one could hear Elvira's screams while forcing himself on Elvira. Then Elvira immediately runs to Mike's car, but Mike was not there. She saw that there were traces of blood going to one side, so Elvira started following the traces of blood for a long time on the road. But then we see Mike standing right behind Elvira with a gun pointed at him. He shoots Elvira, seriously injuring her, but Elvira was lucky because Mike's bullet hit Elvira's ear. Mike was so scared that he immediately gets back into his car and starts driving towards Elvira at a speed high enough to hit her. But then we see Elvira, who has regained control, and points the gun at Mike. Mike is driving towards Elvira at a very high speed, but Elvira manages to kill Mike by shooting him in the head and then swerving to the side of the road to save herself. When she got close to the car, she saw that Mike was in a very bad condition. She took Mike out and threw him down and got into the car and started coming back to Kevin's farmhouse. Here we see Kevin, who can't find Elvira anywhere even after searching everywhere. So he gets tired and now comes to his farmhouse. As soon as he came into the room, he called his wife and said to her that he will reach you guys in Paris by this evening. And after saying that, he hung up the phone. He gets very angry because Mike has not returned yet. He comes to know that Elvira also killed Mike. So now Kevin has to keep his eyes open. Kevin takes his gun and comes to the bathroom to take a shower. As he was taking a shower, he suddenly hears someone's voice outside. He immediately turns off the shower and picks up his gun and comes out without any clothes. He looked here and there, but he could not see Elvira or Mike anywhere. After checking the entire farmhouse, he came into the corridor with the gun, but then he saw that Elvira was right in front of him, ready to kill him with the gun. Kevin forbade Elvira from doing so, but when he came to know that Elvira was very angry with Kevin, so he immediately started moving towards his gun. But in the meantime, Elvira fired at him, which hit Kevin exactly in the same place where Elvira's pointed stick had penetrated, and Kevin became covered in blood. Then Elvira immediately took the gun and started chasing Kevin. She saw that Kevin's blood was scattered here and there. Then she came outside Kevin's bedroom while chasing him, where we saw that Kevin was waiting for him to come in so that as soon as Elvira came and he would blow Elvira's mind. But then Elvira saw Kevin's flowing blood, from which Elvira immediately understood that Kevin was standing right next to the door, and Elvira immediately ran away from there and started coming from the other side. Here we see Kevin, who was now in a lot of pain, so he now comes out on his own and follows Elvira. He put a plastic paper on his wound while chasing, but then we see Kevin, who found out Elvira's location, and he started chasing Elvira while running, and Elvira also slipped and fell down due to the blood spattered on the floor. Then Kevin attacked her on the head from behind and knocked her unconscious. When Elvira opened her eyes, she saw that Kevin was squeezing her throat very hard. Kevin says, "Do you think you can kill me? What are you? Do you think you are very strong? You will die here and no one will care." But here, Elvira puts her hand on Kevin's wound, which made Kevin feel a lot of pain, and he leaves Elvira. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Elvira took her gun and shot Kevin, killing him. When Elvira was confirmed that Kevin was dead, Elvira came out of there. She saw that only blood was scattered throughout the farmhouse. But Elvira's friends took revenge by killing Kevin, Mike, and Bird. Because it was the last day, the helicopter was also going to arrive there, so Elvira could sit inside the helicopter and take Kevin's $1 million, which Kevin had transferred to Elvira's account, and go back to New York with them and start a new life. With this, the film ends here with Elvira's revenge being fulfilled.